What's up, investors? It's Russian Jet. Every once in a while, a short video slips through Russia's censorship cracks and accidentally tells the truth better than 1,000 official statements ever could. Some of you probably even seen this video. A group of recruits standing in a muddy training area, struggling through the basics of handling a rifle. Somebody shouts instructions, somebody laughs, somebody swears, and then the ages start coming out. 53, 55, 56, 63, and so on. The clip is mockingly titled Old Man, as if the absurdity lies only in the number of candles on the birthday cakes. But the real problem is not age. It's what this video reveals about the state of Russia's recruitment system. Because while propaganda would love you to believe that these are just rare comical exceptions, the numbers, the real one, tell a far darker story. Russia is burning through its healthiest and most productive population, while simultaneously dragging in those who should have never been anywhere near the front lines. This is not bravery, it is not patriotism, it's just a desperation wrapped in bureaucracy. Even escaped Russian soldiers themselves and so-called veterans, those who were lucky enough to return from the front lines temporarily or not at least in one piece, reveal and confirm the horrible stories of how they were drafted and how their comrades ended up in the military. And spoiler alert, fewer and fewer of them end up on the front lines because they believed in the sacred mission of protecting Russian-speaking population of Ukraine or just pushing NATO borders further away from Russia's borders. It's either blackmail, how they ended up there, desperation, lies, or combination of these three. And today, we're going to unpack how Russia ended up building a recruitment industry that looks less like national defense and more like a legalized conveyor belt of human exploitation. Let's get one thing straight right away. Despite the viral clips and sarcastic captions, the majority of those who never come back from the front lines are not elderly men. Open source data paints a much clearer picture. Roughly 2/3 of confirmed Russian losses fall on men between ages 18 and 44 years old. These are not grandpas by any means, that's the backbone of a society, anywhere in the world. The age when people build careers, raise children and carry entire regional economies on their shoulders. Even official Russian sources, when they slip up and tell the truth, accidentally confirm this reality. The median age of permanently injured veterans from the war sits shockingly low. Not retired factory workers, not pensioners, no, young men whose working lives effectively ended before they ever really began. And once they are discharged, often in their 20s or early 30s, the state quietly moves them into long-term welfare, shifting the burden from the battlefield to an already strained social system. So why do these then old recruits videos exist at all? Why Russian propaganda doesn't take them down? Because contract recruitment has artificially pushed the visible age range upward. When you flood the system with massive signing bonuses, you inevitably pull in people who were never part of a traditional military pipelines. Men who should be aging into quieter lives, not crawling through trenches or being rushed through basic drills. But here's the crucial detail. Combat itself has not changed. When things escalate, it's still the healthiest bodies that get sent forward first. Older and unfit recruits are not going there to replace young men. They're there to fill just numbers, to satisfy the quotas and just buy time until next batch of healthy recruits arrives. And that contradiction between what the cameras show and what the ground really demands is where the system starts cracking. To understand how deep that crack runs, we need to look at those who else is being pulled in, and why the bar keeps sinking lower, which brings us naturally to the next chapter of this story. Once you move past the age, the next pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Russia's recruitment machine does not just target the old, it targets the vulnerable, those with chronic health problems, those struggling with addictions, those who can barely orient themselves in stressful environments and, well, war is full of them. People who in any functioning system would be sent home immediately, but this system is not designed for efficiency or effectiveness, it's designed for volume, for numbers. And volume does not care about long-term consequences. Why would it? Footage from training camps shows recruits who cannot keep up with basic physical movement, who cannot even march and use their legs and hands independently. People who cannot simply follow commands, who clearly do not understand where they are or what's happening around them. Inside barracks, these individuals often become targets themselves, bullied, humiliated, and treated as disposable from day one. And the irony here is the most brutal of them all. Both the abusers and the abused are then pushed into the same hazardous assignments where survival odds are equally thin. So they literally end up in the same trench, sitting next to each other. How awkward is this? What makes Russia's case stand out historically is not that vulnerable men are being used. Sadly, wars have always chewed through healthy young males first. What makes this situation unique is the parallel use of semi-legal pathways to funnel in people who should have never passed the medical checks or psychological checks in the first place. This is not chaos, it's a policy through neglect. A system that quietly redefines fit for service until the phrase stops even meaning anything at all. And when the military cannot even rely on willing desperation anymore, something else has to fill the gap. Someone else. That something is an entire shadow economy built around persuasion, pressure, and outright deception. To see how that works, we need to talk about the people now calling themselves quote-unquote recruiters, and why that word no longer means what it used to. In peacetime, a recruiter was just a human resources worker, someone who posted job ads and scheduled interviews, but, well, today in Putin's Russia, that same word describes something much closer to a broker, or in some cases a handler. Their job is not to inform, it's to deliver bodies, no matter the quality, just pure numbers at this point. The state itself laid the groundwork for this industry. Regional referral programs openly pay cash rewards for every new contract signer brought in. Depending on the region, the payout can range from just modest sums to life-changing money. And once you put a price tag on a person, the math starts doing the rest. If a recruiter knows they will earn 6 figures for a successful referral, suddenly paying for travel, lodging, meals, or alcohol to help them convince to sign the paper, all this becomes just a minor investment. Law enforcement agencies quietly became part of this pipeline. A minor offense, a paperwork issue, a debt problem, and suddenly a choice appears. You can just continue doing this paperwork and face problems, or sign a contract and receive promises. The pressure does not need to be physical, it all needs to sound official. And it works on everyone. Young conscripts, elderly men, migrants, native speakers, people with disabilities. The common denominator is vulnerability. Conscripts, once legally shielded from being crushed into contracts, lost that protection during the war. Officers are now allowed to talk them into signing before they even fully understand the terms. So that's why the pressure blackmail comes from. And once that signature is down, that's it, no easy exit if any. Contracts renew automatically, assignments change without warning, verbal assurances evaporate the moment paperwork clears. Outside official structures, private recruiters fill the remaining gaps. They search for people who drink, who drift along life, do nothing, who live on the edge. In some regions, families report men simply disappearing after a night out, only to surface later in uniform. These operations do not always need to break the law to be effective. They just need silence, incentives, and plausible deniability. But the recruitment business, at least in Russia, does not stop at delivering bodies. It often keeps extracting value long after the signature dries. And that leads us to the most disturbing chapter of them all. Every contract service member is issued a ban card. On paper, it's meant to receive bonuses and monthly pay. In practice, it often becomes a layer of control. A confused or dependent recruit can be separated from that card with alarming ease. Without money, survival becomes harder. Because, equipment costs money, favors cost money, and most importantly, avoiding the riskiest assignments often costs all of your money. And what do you even got to do anyways? If you are dead, you will not be able to spend that money or send to your family, so you just have to willfully share a big portion of your salary with your officer. Simply no other choice. Then there is the secondary market built around compensation payments. Investigations and testimonies have exposed schemes involving sham marriages, intermediaries, and coordinated paperwork. In the most extreme cases, entire groups work together to extract every possible ruble from a single human life, before and after it ends. While some of these cases cross into outright criminal territory, many operate entirely within the letter of the law. That is how messed up the Russian law in terms of military is. And that is the most chilling part. Recruitment agencies now function as full-fledged businesses. stuffed, branded, advertising aggressively. They experiment with slogans, promises, propaganda, illusion of choice, saying things like, no assault roles, don't worry, behind the lines only, safe assignments. These words mean nothing once the contract is signed, because transfers are legal, needs change overnight, and assault units are always short-handed. Even peace rumors become marketing tools, saying, once again, putting things on brochure like, hurry now, last chance, get the bonus before everything changes. When the government hesitates, private recruiters move faster. They test narratives, they push urgency, they exploit uncertainty. And when funding dries up, as it inevitably does eventually everywhere, the cracks spread upward. Lawsuits appear, payments stall, agencies collapse under their own weight. But by then the damage is already done. Tens of thousands of lives processed through a system that never cared about victory, outcomes or strategy. They only cared about numbers and money. If someone were studying Russia in the future, trying to make sense of this era, the conclusion would be unavoidable. The state simply did not just tolerate exploitation, it engineered the conditions for it. By attaching money to bodies, removing safeguards and outsourcing recruitment to anyone willing to play along, the system transformed people literally into currency. Sounds familiar, kinda. What makes this especially grim is the complete absence of purpose. There is no clearly defined end goal, no articulated outcome, no unifying national moment where everyone shares the burden. This is not a great patriotic war Putin loves so much to refer to, where sons and elites and factory workers stood side by side. No, it's a process. It's just a loop, a business. Recruit, promise, lie, deploy, replace. Over and over again. The most telling detail is not how brutal the system has become, it's how normalized it is. Recruiters chasing bonuses, officials chasing quotas, media personalities chasing ratings and likes. Just everyone chasing money in the end. No one chasing an end. The homeland was never under threat, and because of that, nothing in this machine points towards resolution, only continuation. Putin has turned the system to his mindset. Basically, if the war ends, we are all going to suffer, so we need to continue fighting for as long as possible. That is the real catastrophe hiding behind those viral videos. Not the age of the man, but the age of the system that decided that all of them are expendable. Well, there you have it, guys. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to my channel for more news like this. If you wish to support our work and see an additional chapter at the end of this video, you can do so by becoming a Patreon member. The link is down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow.
We do not believe in what they